me and a lot of other people are wondering, what I guess what it feels like to get into these schools. I know it's beyond exciting, right? It must be an unbelievable feeling, something I couldn't experience. I didn't get into my early school, but um, but I'm sure
You
you
got
guys
it.
are.
That's pretty. That's
The
pretty
Ivy
legit.
of the South. You're fine.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, Duke's pretty
uh,
legit. That's pretty.
Duke is an amazing school. Like,
Yeah,
and admissions, we all know, it's so random. You can have everything and still not get anywhere.
it's a
So
crapshoot. It's a total crapshoot.
Duke is amazing.
Oh yeah.
thank you guys, thank you.
My brother went to Duke, and I'm applying there. It's pretty
Oh,
legit.
Really awesome, awesome.
Yes, he was a pub hall major though.
Yeah, Duke's football is pretty good. So on that note, what do you guys plan on studying in college?
Who wants to go first?
I can go first. So I obviously applied as a bioengineering major, and now currently taking AP Bio. I think I'm going to change it to chem engineering. But my plan after that, after my 4 years, I'm planning on either starting out like with working in a pharma company, and then I want to pursue my MBA and get on the management side, and hopefully end up working for a startup or something. That's kind of my plan right now, but I do know things change in college. I think I'm going to stick with engineering though, and I probably want to do like a minor in computer science.
Oof, money moves.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It sounds like you already know exactly what you want to do.
Yeah,
It's
that's
amazing. Yeah,
sick.
what about you, Noah or Amelia?
You can go,
You
Amelia.
can
Yeah.
go. Oh, okay.
There were two
I applied.
Princeton students.
Yeah. So I'm ORFE, which is Operations Research and Financial Engineering. And I did that because really the only common thread in my app was like statistics, a little here and there. But I really want to go into environmental applications, so like climate change, renewable energy stuff. I'll see. I'm like again, I'm pretty all over the place with my application stuff, so I'm not too sure yet.
Is that a onesie, by the way?
It's like a
Or is it
it's
like
like a
a
comfy. Yeah.
oh, that's fire. I need
Yeah.
one of those. Awesome, awesome. What about you, Noah? What are your
Okay,
plans?
so I applied as mechanical as MAE. So Princeton's mechanical and aerospace engineering departments are together, and you can get either degree. But a really common thing at Princeton is they kind of combine their coursework, so you can get both degrees in 4 years. So that's what I wanted to do. It's part of the reason why I chose Princeton. Though what I want to do with it, I am like super. I've been super obsessed with physics for a really long time. I've been self studying it since I was like a freshman, and so I've always wanted to do research. And so of course my first thought was like, I want to be like a physics major. But then I sat and I thought about it, and I really do like the broad set of like skills and the education I'll get as like a mechanical engineer, especially and aerospace. So instead of locking myself into the path of research, I'm still absolutely going to get a PhD, going to do research, but I'm going to do it in those fields because it's still something I'm interested in, and I'm going to have like such a wide array of skills that if I absolutely need to go into the industry, I'll like be really, really, really well off. Like if I want to do that. Um, and so that was my thought process.
Three engineers.
Three
Sheesh.
engineers,
That's
three engineers,
that's pretty cool.
all going to liberal arts institutions.
Oh yeah.
That's funny. So it's really funny because I have no knowledge nor experience of engineering at all. So I went in as pre-med. I did some research in high school. It's like Crohn's disease. And I was pretty dead set on doing, med school, going to grad school and becoming a doctor. And so I have no idea what engineering really is, right? I don't even know. Like, you could ask me define engineer, and I have no idea. So, like, what is engineering, and what interests you guys enough to pursue it in undergrad? I really don't know.
So I can take this one if you guys don't want to.
I mean, we can do whatever. If someone wants to answer, we can go
Yeah,
like in
you
the
can start and I can.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
For me, the amazing thing, like what is engineering to start off? I mean, I think it's just like the practical application of like science, like you could take like you could apply chemistry and apply it to these big like plants that produce all of this fuel. Like that would be chemical engineering. You take physics and apply it to how do you make a circuit. That would be electrical engineering. Mechanical engineering is kind of all of the above. Aerospace is how does stuff move through fluids, so like air, water, like making planes, etc. So I would just define it as the applicate, like the study of applying sciences, whatever given science you want it to be. And I mean, the reason that I think I'm drawn to engineering is because I found myself so in love with physics specifically that it's really cool to me that I can get an education in being able to apply that to like the real world. I think is very interesting,
Mhm.
and it gives you a lot. You can do a lot with.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Paree, do you have
um
something to say?
Yeah, I can go next. So the reason I applied into bioengineering was actually the pre-med route. So I was kind of on the fence about med school, and it wasn't really my parents or anything. Like, actually, my whole family, like, no one wants to be a doctor. It's really just me, and I've always had that in the back of my mind. But I wasn't sure on it, and so I didn't want to have like a bio degree or a chem degree because I just felt like there's not really much you can do with that. You really have to seek higher education, and I felt like with an engineering degree, I especially going to an institution that's very expensive, I wanted to get a degree that when I graduate, I can be making a good enough salary to where I can justify the high tuition. And so that's kind of where engineering and computer science came in. Computer science I didn't pursue because I hate coding. And in engineering, I chose bioengineering because a lot of the bioengineering classes overlap with the pre-med requirements. So that's why I chose bioengineering. And I know that when you apply to med school as an engineering undergrad, they have a little bit more leniency towards like the GPA and stuff like that. So that was kind of my route is I'm going to be bioengineering, I'm going to be pre-med. And more recently, I've decided that pre-med maybe is not the thing for me. So that's kind of like where I'm at right now. But I think in terms of like engineering, like I like it because I just think it's very interesting. Like I did research my junior year of high school, and there were a lot of people I was around that were doing a lot of like bioengineering research, and so that really intrigued me. And that's also like what I focused on in my application and stuff. And so that's kind of why I majored in it. Also, like answering the question of like what I think engineering is. I think engineering to me is also just like a science of how do you think. I feel like a lot of engineers end up being very successful, not just in engineering, but in a lot of different aspects because their engineering degree prepares them and trains them on how to think outside of the box and how to find solutions to difficult problems. So I think that kind of thinking is something that also draws me to it because I'm a very like I think inside the box. I like a lot of structure and a lot of rules, and I think engineering will allow me to kind of like get out of that shell a little bit and think more outside of the box and more interestingly. So that's kind of like my thought process.
If you like, if you can, I would love to hear like what exactly is the difference between biology and biological engineering, like as opposed to like because like chemical engineering I know, but I don't think I like what would a profession in biological engineering be? I've never thought.
Yeah. So like within bioengineering, like each school, each major, right, like they have its own tracks. So within bioengineering, you can pursue neuroengineering, pursue creating drugs. So a lot of bioengineers go into pharma and they're looking into how do you create drugs. They create prosthetics, MRI machines, CT machines. How does this interact with the body? Things like that. Basically.
Okay, yeah, I did not know that there was like a specific degree for that, or at least at most schools.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna hop in because Orphe is a really weird major. Like, because it's so applicable. Like, I think I have their website pulled up here. Of applications in communications, finance, energy, the environment, social, behavioral, physical, and biological sciences, robotics, and cyber physical systems, social networks, and transportation. So when I was like looking into it, it was very overwhelming. And then I was talking to like students at Princeton. They were like, "Oh, no, we don't do all that. Don't worry. Like everyone has their focus." And for me, that was the environment. So that's what I centered my application around. So I really liked what you said about kind of like a way of thinking, because this isn't like you're not learning everything. You're focusing in on something and kind of figuring out how it works so you can study patterns around that and create like experiments and stuff like that, rather than doing the actual designs of like these robots or these transportation systems or these new medicines. It's like finding the solutions like socially or like just beneath that, which is really cool to me. And it's definitely one of the reasons that I applied to Princeton, because no other school had a major like that.
Let's see. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fields.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think like that, like even though like they wouldn't consider, most people wouldn't consider Ivies like engineering schools, I think the biggest appeal is like the intellectual aspect that you get when you attend an institution like that. Like you, like especially for me, since I want to go into research, like I wasn't necessarily looking at the ranking of the engineering department. I was thinking about, I'm going to a school where I'm going to be surrounded by all of these people who have all of these ideas, including the professors, and I'm going to be able to learn from like not just like necessarily the top engineering professors, but like the top. I'll be surrounded by the top students, and I'll get to have like top level conversations and top level classes and top level professors. Like, and I feel like it'll really like teach me how to think on like creatively in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do in high school, because you're just not in that environment. Like no other school in the world, no other set of schools in the world, including, I would say, including Duke, Vanderbilt, all those kind of schools, like provides an environment like that, just like the Ivies and etc. do.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like through like social media, like on the admitted student page, and everyone is posting, and everyone has been reaching out, and you get to connect with all these individuals who are all so good at what they do. And in a way, it humbles you a lot, but it also is so good because I feel like it pushes you to a new extent. And also, just everyone is so passionate about it, and you're able to like form these connections together. Like, there's a lot of collaboration for people to do like amazing things on campus. And I feel like, especially at least in my high school, like I was one of the very few driven students. And so a lot of people, you know, can think you're being pretentious, you're a tryhard or whatever. And so when you go to a really nice institution like Penn or Princeton or Duke, you are surrounded by these very talented and motivated individuals. And that just pushes you to be better, I think. Like, at least at Penn, like, I know some schools have a very toxic and cutthroat environment, but what I've gotten from Penn is like a very nice like community of people that really want to help one another, which I think is really healthy, and it's healthy competition for sure.
I mean, like I think one of the main things that's definitely one of the main things that drove me to apply these kind of schools, and I actually wrote about it in like a Duke essay. Like one of the craziest experiences I had, like that made me want to go to a school like this, is when I was in 7th grade. I was visiting my brother at Duke, and we walked into his dorm for the first time at like 1 a.m. And there was these 3 guys sitting at the piano in Trinity. I don't know if you like know what the dorm is. It's on East Campus,
Yeah.
and there's these 3 dudes, and one of them was completely wasted out of his mind, and he was no, and he was like, guys, like I can totally play this Mozart piece with my eyes closed while drunk. And they're like, no, you can't. Like, you absolutely can't. Mind you, it was like 2 a.m. And the dude just starts going. He does it. Like, it was crazy. It was literally the middle of the night. And like when I saw that, it was so random. And I was like, this is like exactly what I imagined. Like this these random, like everyone has some skill that you just could never, and they can teach you something. Like that little experience, like I think encapsulated it for me very, very well. Like,
Yeah. On the topic of admitted students pages, I think it's also really cool just to see like these are a lot of other normal people. Like when you're on Reddit, which I will admit, I did go on like r/A2C and r/ chance me, stuff like that. They're like, oh, you don't have a Nobel Prize. No way, you're not getting it. like, yeah, so I think like everyone's super driven, which is nice, but also like we are all high school students that like have our own interests and like fun little quirks and stuff like that, and like everyone has a shot that puts in the effort at all these higher level schools. um, so don't think that for like you are not good enough, because at some point we were saying before, it's just like they're picking from like the lottery.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, like I feel like especially when you're in like in a community, at least at like my high school, like we live close to Penn, so Penn pretty much takes someone every single year. A lot of like your teachers will put you up on a pedestal, right? And so I think like it's important for people to see that like anyone can get into these types of things. Like it is luck. Like I will say, like if you have bad luck, then that's obviously at some point like you need luck. But anyone can do it. Like if you work hard, like I've never been one of those kids to like be like, oh, I didn't even study. Like I might say that, but I really, really study. I've never been the type of person. I mean, I took the SAT 5 times to get my score.
Wow.
I was crazy, yeah. So I'm not that student, and I really like innate knowledge will only take you so far. I feel like you have to put the work in, and if you work hard, you can totally achieve anything you want. And also, like college is just the beginning of it. Like even when you go to college, you have to do well. And once you get in, it's not the all end all. Right now, it feels like that. Like my senioritis is kicking in and everything. But I really think like college is what you make of it. So if you go there and you're demotivated and you don't do anything, then that's also not in your favor. You want to continue working hard even when you get into school.
Yeah.
I
Those are great
completely
points.
agree.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of luck, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, you still obviously have to do well in school, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, you guys bring some great points. I guess on that topic, a bit of a curveball question, I guess, because you guys mentioned, some of the basic reasons why you guys wanted to attend, these top universities, but why your university in particular? Why Princeton? Why UPenn? I know, Paree, you mentioned a little bit about, just the location, etc. But were there any other specific? Because, I mean, nothing's really stopping you from applying to any other schools early, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can start with this one if
Yeah, take it, Amelia.
okay. So I guess I touched on this a little with like Orphe, because pretty much every other school will have a data science major, which is included in Orphe but isn't all of Orphe. Like I said, it branches out into so many other things, and you have the same prereqs with like engineering and physics and blah blah blah, everything else. But yeah, that major itself was so unique. And then I'm also not gonna lie, the campus is so beautiful. Like
Oh,
I don't know, I've just always been a very drawn to like like the aesthetics of it. And I think somewhere where I'm like amazed by like literally where I live for the next 4 years is gonna be somewhere where I do my best. And also I'm a very big singer, and Princeton has a huge focus on their like a cappella groups there. There's so many. So I'm looking
Quick
forward to trying out for some of those.
quick question. What state are you guys from?
I'm from Mass.
I'm from Alabama, actually.
And I'm from Pennsylvania, obviously.
Where are you in? If you're close to Penn, like where are you from? If you don't mind me asking.
So, I'm from Bucks County, which is like an hour away from the city, basically. So, like, I could hop on a train and I'd be at like Penn Medicine's like an hour, basically.
Okay, yeah, my girlfriend lives in Wayne, so
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Cool.
How'd you meet your girlfriend? She
She went to my school. She went to my school for a couple years. She just
Oh,
moved.
she moved.
Yeah, she moved to Brazil, and then she moved to
Whoa.
to Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Jeez. That's crazy.
I'm
Amelia,
curious in hearing your why Princeton, Noah, because
So my wife Princeton is pretty straightforward. There's actually there's a couple reasons. So the first one, which I would completely recommend to 110% would recommend this to every student applying to a top university. The high school you go to and the connections that the high school has is significant. So, for example, my high school has never had a student admitted to MIT ever. They never let us in. Don't know why. Like, we just had our first student get deferred from there. But Princeton, they take, for the last 5 years that I've been at the school, they've taken either the valedictorian or the salutatorian every single year. And it's because one kid went and did really well. And so once they, especially when you're in a state like Alabama, like me, if you're really accepting from any new high school in Alabama, because so many of the public high schools are bad, they're taking a real risk of you just not being college prepared, even if you have good test scores. And so I applied to Princeton. The first reason I applied to Princeton, beside the financial aid, was because my school has a good connection with them. And that is really important as someone from a public school in Alabama. The second reason, actually the second biggest reason I say that I'm going to Princeton, not just that. The second reason I applied would be the mechanical and aerospace engineering. It just really fit what I wanted to do. It gives me a really broad amount of careers that I could be involved in. And I just love the research that goes on in Princeton, finally. As someone who wants to do research, being surrounded by that level of research for 4 years, especially if I can get involved in it as an undergraduate, would be crazy.
Yeah.
And then finally, like, I think ultimately the reason I'm going was actually my interview. I had a really, really good conversation with my Princeton interviewer. He's from my area, grew up in the exact, like, within 5 minutes of me. And that conversation, I think, just talking about, like, the experience you get, like I mentioned earlier, the experience you get with being around students who all are that ambitious and have those kind of passions and are good at what they do. Like, I don't think you could trade that experience really for anything.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
So obviously, like, I live close to Penn, so a lot of kids, like, they will ED to Penn just because, like, oh, I like it, it's close to home, whatever, their parents want them to do it. So there was already that kind of motivation for me, but then both my parents actually didn't do undergrad here, so they kind of, like, didn't know anything about the college admissions process, nothing like that. But I have an older cousin who lives, like, 30 minutes from me, and he ED'd to Penn for econ. He didn't get into Wharton, but he got into regular econ and just, like, College of Arts and Sciences, and he's a senior there now, and he absolutely loved it there. And so he's 5 years older than me, so that was when I kind of started learning more about Penn. And then as I, started to get older and started thinking about college admissions, I went up to Boston. I toured Yale, Brown, Harvard, Columbia. Like, I toured all these amazing schools. And so my 3 top schools were Columbia, Harvard, and Penn. I actually loved Harvard and Columbia, but I knew that there was a girl in my district who was probably going to get into Harvard, and Columbia pretty much takes no one from my district. So strategically, I knew that I had a better shot at Penn than those 2 schools. Then I toured Penn, and I think the big thing for me that I loved about Penn was just the community aspect. So, like, in high school, I was very involved with activism and advocacy work, and so I really harped on that in my application, even, like, as an engineering major. And I think that's probably what got me in, but also just, like, what attracted me to Penn. I feel like Penn has a really strong, like, student body when it comes to community, and their relationship with a lot of the poverty in Philadelphia and kind of how they give back is also something that was super, super interesting to me. And then obviously the other thing was just, like, the social scene there. Like, in my high school, like, the social scene is, like, okay, you know what I mean? And also, like, I am just, like, a homebody, so I've never really kind of had that type of thing. And so my frat people I know at Penn, like, they absolutely love it there. And I've always wanted to do Indian dance. I'm, like, classically trained in ballet, but I was never able to do Indian dance because where I live, there just aren't that many Indian people. And Penn's Indian dance teams are ranked, like, top 10 in the nation out of all, like, the colleges. So that was something that also really attracted me to it. Just, like, this sense of community. Like, I've always wanted Indian friends, and I know, like, at Penn, like, I, like, definitely be able to find people, like, I fit in with.
Did you submit a dance supplement?
Cool. That's, like, a very unique answer, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I didn't submit a dance supplement. It's just, like, these teams, they're, like, competitive. So once you're, like, in, you just try out. Like, I think like they have weeks where, like, if you want to do, like, a rec team or whatever for sports, and even for dance, they have different tryouts and stuff. And so then they go and compete. So like I know they're going to Penn State soon, and then they're going to be flying out to UC Berkeley for a competition.
Cool.
They were just somewhere else. I forget where, but they've just like been competing all over the place, and it's really cool because a lot of colleges will come together. So now you're in this huge community of Indian people, and when you're there, they have like mixers and little like get-togethers and stuff. And so you meet actually Duke's Indian dance team is also really interesting because one of their captains isn't Indian at all. So it's really cool, like to meet these people that are just like not only Indian but like love Indian culture. Because like where I am from, like it's Indian culture, just like other cultures in general, it's just not really like talked about. So it's cool to like connect with people that are just passionate about like cultural awareness, I think.
Cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I guess going off of that, what do you guys like to do in your free time? What kind of passions and hobbies do you guys have?
So my biggest thing, which was my Common App essay topic, is that I'm a horse girl. Um, and like, so I volunteer at a therapeutic riding center, and in the summer I'm there for like 35 hours a week on some time. Like, just I'm there all the time, and I get to ride for free because of my volunteer work there, which I love so much. But yeah, I wrote my essay on being a horse girl for Common App, which was very funny. Um, and then, but that's like really what I wanted to get to, and I think something that I think is so important to share with people applying to school, because my Common App was so scattered. Like, I'm going through my activities, and I have like being a Girl Scout, doing music. I did track and field. I like have some leadership positions within my school, and none of them are related at all. So I always like heard the advice, like, come on, like you need a theme, like all your extracurriculars need to be related to one another or you're not going to get in. So when I went to apply, I was not that optimistic. And then I took the opportunity to really hammer down in my essays that I wanted to do Orphe and that I wanted to focus on its applications in the environment specifically. So pretty much all my essays, save one or two like unique Princeton 50-word responses, were me relating what I wanted to do to things that I've done that were not at all related to engineering. So even if you think you don't have a chance because you have scattered extracurriculars, you have that final chance in your essays because they really do look at those a lot. Well, they say they do. Who knows? But yeah, take that opportunity at the end to really take time in your essays and write them about relating everything you've been doing to what you want to do in the future, even if it doesn't seem like they're related at all. But I related working in an engineering field in the environment to riding horses. So it might seem hard, but you can do it. Trust me.
Yeah, and like I think I can piggyback off of that really well because my school has like one STEM extracurricular. Like, and I was dead set on STEM, and we have nothing. Like, we're an art school. Like, we just got like a grant from the county. They're building like a whole new arts thing. Like, literally, all we do, nothing we do is STEM. Like, we have like a robotics team. That is it. We have nothing else. And so naturally, like I've also been a varsity tennis player since I was in like 7th grade. So I don't have one STEM extracurricular, and every single one of my essays about was essentially about like why I wanted to do engineering. Unless it was one of the ones about my extracurriculars, and so I was really concerned going in, just like she was. I felt like dang, like I don't really have that much demonstrated interest, but realistically, like I think if you really give the colleges like why you want to do what you want to do, and you just give how you're, even if they're not related, if you give how your extracurriculars have made you into a person who is better suited for the college experience or the experience for that major, I think you can really make up for it. Me personally, what I like to do in my free time, I'm currently sitting at my job right now. I coach tennis, kids like ages like 9 to like 19. I've been doing that for like 2 years. I also volunteer as a tennis coach at a middle school. I play. I haven't played tennis as much like competitively just because I've wanted to focus on school. Um, the other thing is it's actually weird. It was on my cover. I'm also a power lifter. My one state is like a power lifter in my weight class, and then I also my other like big like school extracurricular, I guess. I like founded the Model UN Club at my school, and like I went to a state conference. And the only thing other than that I think is I play a lot of Rocket League. I was on the Rocket League team at my school. We got like top 5 at the state out of 70 teams. That's on my comment out too.
Okay.
I can't very easy like look like literally none of that is in any way related to engineering. But I mean like I said, just present yourself in a way that like show them the qualities that you think will make them want you. And I think at the end of the day, you don't have to worry about it as much. Like I think the one piece of advice that I would leave that off with is like if you have something that you're genuinely passionate about, even if you haven't had the opportunity to explore it that much, if you're able to express that in your application, like don't go and change your major because you feel like it'll give you a better chance. Like be genuine in your application, be genuine about what you're passionate about, and at the end of the day it'll work out. I mean, that'll give you your best shot.
Okay, so I guess so my experience was very different in high school. I actually come from a school that is like very STEM focused. I did like a special like research internship in 11th grade that was like affiliated with AP Chem, and I was able to do science fairs. So I've been doing science fair 10th, 11th, 12th grade. I am in a lot of like science honor society, math honor society, STEM club, like everything. And so despite all of that, I was still one of the weaker applicants in the sense that like there were a lot of kids who ED'd Penn, there were a lot of kids who had done research. So I think for me, what was really interesting was my advocacy work. So my sophomore year, I like petitioned my school board to recognize Diwali as an official school holiday, which is the most like important holiday on the Hindu calendar. And I was successful in that endeavor. And so that was for 18,000 students. So we all got a day off my junior and senior year, and that'll continue forever, I guess. But that I think is yeah.
Sorry.
That is kind of like my start of my advocacy work, and then kind of through that I was able to connect with a lot of people, and I started my own organization that was like focused on like South Asian awareness and stuff like that. And I think that particularly, even though I was applying as an engineer, I think that is what got me in, like I said earlier, because I think a lot of what these schools are looking for is also like not who can do Princeton engineering or who can do Penn engineering and who can integrate calculus the best, but it's also like who is going to be the next leader. Like they are looking to like teach leaders, right? They want you to take the degree, even if it's an engineering degree, and make good use of it and give back to the community. And I think that's something common within all of these schools. And I think that is obviously, I think what they saw in all of us, all three of us, is that we are passionate about what they do. And so like the biggest thing I would say, like what Noah said too, like be passionate. Like I know everyone says that and everyone feels like, oh, like if I'm a STEM major, I have to like go to ISEF and I have to win the International Science Fair. And it's really just, it's really not like that. And even like with your stats, like I like I said, I took the SAT 5 times. I got like a 1280 on my PSAT. I was not national merit. Like, like it's really like it's very subjective. And so if you're passionate about it and you show them that, like this is who I am, this is what I want to do with it, and I have a goal and I'm going to reach that goal, they will accept you. Like you just have to be patient and trust yourself, and also like realize that like at the end of the day, like everyone has different strengths, and so what you should do is always just put your 100% effort, and so you can look back and say, I did everything I could, and the rest of it is up to luck. You know what I mean? And I know like all my friends that are in college, even though they didn't get into their ED school or their dream school, wherever they are so happy there. And so it will work out for you. Like I know college admissions is tough. Even not all my friends are committed and they are going through it right now. And So I understand, like I see my friends going through it, and I was going through it too before Penn came out, but it will work out for you. Just stay passionate, stay true to yourself, do something that you want to do. Like if your parents are telling you to be pre-med, don't do pre-med if you don't want to be pre-med. Like do what you want to do, and it's not going to feel like work. Just do what you're passionate about.
You guys are some motivational speakers, man. You guys really, you guys are good at this. You guys are really good at this. I feel like I'm asking pretty general questions, and you guys are nailing it with the. How do I turn this into a college admissions questions? Awesome, awesome. Yeah. Anything else that you guys wanted to add, or?
I just think like what we just touched on, like I just feel so good about it. To be completely honest, like I know so many kids, especially in my high school, who like they got like great scores. They got like a 33 on the ACT, or even a 32, and have 10 extracurriculars, but don't feel confident in them. They're like, oh, like I'm just gonna apply to state school. Like I don't think I have a chance. Like, and I just think that is so could not be further from the truth. Like, and everyone I've talked to, and every admissions officer I've talked to, and every in my personal my Princeton interviewer who I've talked to, like the academics, like the extracurriculars, like that is just those are just two boxes that they check off of like 8, and the other 6 boxes are all about like you as a human being, like how you express your own intellectual ability, how the persona that you build in your application, the genuine like passion that you have for what you want to do, and like those are the things that ultimately get you into the school, like at the end of the day. And I think that it's important to be confident in that and to be genuine in your application if you want to get into a school like Princeton or Penn or Duke or Yale or.
Yeah, I've also seen a lot of stuff that has really resonated with me. That's like having this idea of like one school that's right for you is so toxic, because really it's just about what you make of it. And for the longest time, I wanted to go to UConn, University of Connecticut, because I wanted to be an actuary. And I 100% think, like, in a heartbeat, like, say I hadn't gone to Princeton, I might have still gone there. And it would have been fine. I would have made the most of it, because that's what I do as a person, and that's what everyone should feel that they can do, because, like you said so eloquently, it's about what you make of it. And again, all these schools, like, yes, some might have a bigger endowment and some might have some better research opportunities, but you are going to do the best where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I just want to say one more thing is, like, I remember being in high school and watching these podcasts and being like, oh, well, it's easy for them to say because they already got in. And while that is true, that is so true, just keep in mind, not every millionaire you know went to an Ivy League school, and not every person who went to an Ivy League school is a millionaire today. It is what you make of it. At the end of the day, you will be successful in life regardless of what college you go to. I think that's so important to keep in hindsight. Like, I literally said I'm going to be 70K in debt, and that was something I was okay on taking on because I wanted to go to Penn. But, like, for instance, like, financially, I know that's a huge thing for so many people. And so if you're in a situation where you can't pay for the tuition, do not feel bad. Like, a lot of kids get into these amazing schools and they have to say no, but the fact that you got in shows that you are a really hardworking person and that you will be successful no matter what you do. Especially in today's day and age, there are so many ways to make money, so many things that you can do. Your degree isn't everything, and while it's important to have, like, it's not the all end all. So I think that's, like, really important. College is just one small fraction of your huge entire life.
Yeah, guys, Tim Cook went to Auburn. That's what you have to remember.
So we've talked a lot about how to get into college and what you guys have done to get into college, your respective Ivy Leagues. So the next question is, what are you guys excited about in college?
I just want to get involved. Like, I think in high school, sometimes with your extracurriculars, especially, like, you can sometimes get stuck in things that you don't really want to do. And I know I'm very bad at saying no. So, like, if someone's like, oh, you want to join this? Sure. or you want to help out here, sure. I think I want to take a step to really put myself into one or two things that I'll be able to really explore at Princeton. So, like I said, one of those things is singing. I really want to do a cappella singing. And I also love talking. I can talk for a very long time and very loudly too if I wish. So, I really would love to eventually become a tour guide. And I also just remember going on tours as a kid, or with my sister when she was applying to schools, and being like looking up to these people almost as these kind of like gods. I'm like, oh my goodness. um, but almost like what we're doing here with the podcast and like sharing us and some of our normalities and stuff like that. Like I want to be that person for students that are interested in really like engage these younger kids, and hopefully they can end up somewhere great too.
Yeah, I think what I'm I think more than just like what school I'm going to, like I think I'm just excited for like the experience to go and gain an education that I like choose. Like so I can go and I'm gonna have these classes and I'm gonna have these majors and like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be able to learn about whatever I choose to learn about and prepare myself for whatever path I want to take post undergrad. Like I just think that's so cool that I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sit there and everything I learn, it's gonna be a choice. Like I chose that I wanted to educate myself on this topic, and like I just think that's the unique thing about college is that you essentially go because you want to prepare yourself to do a certain work or you want to become educated in a field, and so everything you do is something you chose. And it's like in high school it's almost like not all the work that you do is something that you're passionate about or that you chose to do or necessarily working towards a goal that you want, but in college it's different. Like it is because you put yourself in that position intentionally to intentionally achieve something, and I think that's more than anything what I'm most excited for.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, kind of choosing your education is something that's really big for me. But I think, like I said this before, like, I am really excited about the community at Penn, like, specifically the Indian community, just because, like, that was something I always wanted growing up, and I never got it. And so that's really just like what I'm looking forward to. I feel like, especially like we all are very successful students, and I feel like there's this feeling in high school that no matter how much you accomplish before you get into college, it's always like, what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing. You can never sit back and really like relax, I feel like. And so I think in college, like, I'm looking forward to that, and just like, you know, like finding a sense of community and being in a place that I chose to be at, versus like, you know, being stuck in a high school for 4 years with, you know, people that you didn't necessarily choose to be with. So, you know, like with Princeton and Penn and Duke, you know, we all chose those schools because that student body is what appealed to us. And, you know, I think I'm going to love Penn just the way you guys love Princeton, the way you love Duke. So I think that's like probably what I'm most excited.
I think I want to ask like Limmy, what is your favorite part been about your college education so far?
That's a great question. Um, my favorite part about Duke, I think it's, hmm, I would have to say it's the people that I've met. I think you guys are, you guys seem like really cool people, really sociable, really good at talking. And so I have no doubt that you guys will have no problem, but you'll, one of the things that you'll notice once you get to college is just how crazy it is to have thousands of people of the same age, of, similar academic interests, et cetera, in such a close proximity to you, right? And so my freshman year, it was COVID, but despite COVID, I probably met a couple hundred people for the first 3 months, like every month. So I probably met like over 1,000 people going out every day, talking to new people. And I don't know, maybe it's because of COVID that, um, I was inside all day long, didn't talk to anybody. It was just more exciting, but just being able to meet so many different kinds of people. And it's really crazy because you'll be talking to someone and they're completely normal, right? They just seem and act like a normal kid, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm a national champion of this," right? It's just like, whoa, what the? It's just like you were that. It's just I just had a normal conversation with you. We were talking about school, and then all of a sudden, it's just like you meet so many cool people that you can just hang out with, talk about life, because this is a big transitionary period of your life, right? This is when you go from, living at your parents' house to that middle intermediary phase where you start your life, right? And just the opportunity to do that at the amazing institutions that you guys are going to. It's super exciting. I'm so excited for you guys. But I will say that, obviously it's good to, keep your expectations somewhat in check, right? You don't want to go in having too high expectations about everything. But I would say that, and then of course, the Duke games, no question, the basketball.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just different, in Cameron, for me.
Have you tented out
Basketball.
yet?
No, I haven't. My lazy ass is definitely not going to be able to endure the winter cold. Maybe senior year. Maybe if I have the guts to do it, maybe I'll try. But not yet, not yet. So we'll have to see. Um, yeah. So I guess that's my favorite part. The people. Um, Classes. I mean, choosing your education. That's great and all, but for me, it's school at the end of the day, right? But that's just me, right, Mister Old Head. Um, but yeah, so I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time, right? So we are approaching the 1 hour mark. So we'll end off the podcast with one final question that I have for you guys, and then we can stay on for a little bit longer, for stuff off the pod, but. Um, I'm going to ask you the question, right? You probably know what it is already. Most people are dying to know, right? What are you guys' stats?
Okay, here it is.
You guys don't have to answer if you guys don't want to,
No,
No, it's fine.
the uncomfortable answering. I'm interested.
but everyone's just dying to know for some reason. We all know it's stupid, but
Yeah. So I had 4.0 unweighted, 5.0 weighted, and a 33 ACT. And I took the SAT. I forgot my calculator. No one offered me a calculator after I asked, and I did not do that well. So I didn't submit that. But yeah, I submitted the ACT.
I'm so happy to hear you say that because I know so many kids who get like a great score, like a 33, and freak out and are like, I can't get into any schools with the 33. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like that's like a 95th percentile score. Like,
Literally, I'm like, if it's in the median, send it in.
oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, that's amazing. So I can go next just because I have to get to work soon, but my scores basically I got a 34 composite ACT the first time I took it. I ended up with a 35 super score. I took it 4 more times, got a 33 every single time. It's completely infuriating.
Wow.
And then all my friends did as well, and then they took.
oh no, did we lose it?
No.
Not at that screen.
Yeah.
Oh no. All right, we'll give it like 30 seconds, 3 long seconds. See if
Yeah.
he's able to join.
I wanted to take the ACT more. I got COVID 3 times,
Oh,
and every single time lined up with the test date. So I had to call and go through the awful college board refund process 3 separate times.
that's awful. I'm sorry to hear that.
So I had a 3.9 unweighted. My weighted GPA was a 4.5. I took the SAT 5 times. I started with a 1360 and I ended with a 1520 super score, 1510 flat. I had an even split 760, 760. And then as far as AP scores go, I took two my sophomore year, five APs my junior year, five APs my senior year. So I had taken 7 exams by the time I applied to college. I only submitted five of them because two of them I got threes on. But out of those five, only one of them was a five. The rest of them were fours. And then I already said my GPA, and I never took the ACT, which is probably my biggest regret. I wish I tried it, but I kept going at the SAT. Luckily, it ended up working out for me. Actually, the last SAT I took was in October, so just a month before the deadline.
Wow.
Yeah, that's basically my.
Yeah.
Your
Awesome.
work
Awesome.
ethic is insane. I like like
You guys are
5 times.
troopers.
Well, that's impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made it a long way through the process, but I'm happy it worked out for sure. Don't know if I would have gotten in without the score.
Yeah. Troopers, troopers. Yeah, I mean, I guess know that to drop off for work, but we will wrap up the pod there. Thank you guys so much for
All right.
being on the pod, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and then I'll stop everybody. Let's have more of a conversation, about random things. We can go anywhere. Doesn't need to follow any sort of format, right? I just want to, I guess,